Ooh, I'm here today to give you guys a warning not to power up any of these legendary Pokemon in Pokemon Go, because I've seen on various websites and even from other content creators that they have recommended to power up this Pokemon, and I would dare say that no, they are not useful at all. So I would recommend you guys to not do anything or in fact waste your resources on them at all. So hi to all of you guys. So let me go ahead and bring my screen up, and you guys can see from the thumbnail itself, these are the Pokemon that I'm talking about. Well, let's just go ahead and search for legendaries, and yeah, I'm talking about Virizion, Terrakion more specifically, and also Cobalion, because I've seen in some of my comments also people were saying to actually not sleep on Terrakion, to actually go hard for it and like power up like a handful of them, because it has received the signature move Sacred Sword, making it, you know, pushed up on the chart. But it's still not good enough. Well, for those of you who are wondering if you guys should even power up, like consider powering up any of these three Pokemon, the short answer is no. The long answer I'll explain to you guys in great detail, but the reason why I'm making this video is because I've seen in other content creators' video that people have commented on that particular video saying that, you know, they will actually power up their Hundos or their 98% Terrakions, etc., because it has been buffed, I guess, but not exactly. Alright, let me explain. So let's go ahead into some of the websites that I would like to show you guys. First of all, let's go ahead and check out the stats for Terrakion. So Terrakion under gamepress.gg. Thank you very much, Gamepress, for all the information. First of all, we have to understand that a Pokemon is strong based on a couple of factors. The first factor is the stats of the Pokemon. So the second one is actually the moves of the Pokemon that you obtain, and the third is the typing of the Pokemon itself. So looking at Terrakion, its attack, defense, and stamina, they are relatively good. It's better than Virizion and also Cobalion. So I wouldn't mention about Virizion and Cobalion at all, because that's the Pokemon that not many people are talking about to want to power up or whatsoever. Don't mind me though, I did mention in my video, one of my videos, that I am going to power up each of them to level 50, but that's because I want to collect them to, you know, level 50 standards, but not because I'm going to use them for raids or PvP purposes. Alright. So the move for Terrakion though, I mean, it has a very good rock type fast move, I must say. Smackdown, alright. Zen Headbutt is something that you wouldn't use. As for the charge moves, it has Close Combat, Earthquake, Rock Slide, also a very good charge move for the rock typing one. And also Sacred Sword as the signature move. So right now it has obtained Sacred Sword, hence why, you know, it has been pushed up the chart. So let's go ahead and check out Gamepress comprehensive DPS and TDO spreadsheet. So, you know, some content creators would say like, just go and look at DPS times TDO because you need a bit of survivability. I do agree with that. However, we will check out another website to see it in a more detailed manner. And as for the numbers for the DPS times TDO, you don't just want to look at the numbers, because you have to look at the level of the attacker. So you can actually choose the attacker of the level to just be level 20, and when you refresh it, the numbers would change. You see, from like 18,000 drop to 3,500 for Mega Mewtwo Y. And if you were to boost it up to like level 50, it will go up to like a crazy amount. Alright, 26,000. So hence you also need to determine whether the level of the Pokemon is going to be level 40 or level 50 or whatsoever. It makes a difference. Anyway, we're going to check out Terrakion though. So we're going to type Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion, because we want to see all of them for now, right? Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at all of them. Sorry, not Cobalion again, but Terrakion. Okay, so I can't put just the red because the Totera will come out. So looking at DPS though, Terrakion is number 1 with Smackdown and Sacred Sword. Alright, yes it is. However, look at the typing of the fast and charge move. Rock for Smackdown and fighting for the charge move. That is not exactly ideal. If you look at DPS times TDO, yes, Terrakion is number 1 also. However, if we take a look from the rock typing side, okay, rock typing, we're going to type rock, and let's see that. We're going to also choose best over here, so it only shows us the best moves that that particular Pokemon would have. So Terrakion, it's actually behind Mega DNC, Mega Tyranitar, Mega Aerodactyl in terms of DPS times TDO. However, you are going to be subjected to use only rock and a fighting charge move, which kind of doesn't make sense, which I'll explain to you guys later on even more also. So if we type rock, meaning it will show both the fast and charge move, rock only. Well, I don't see Terrakion. Okay, Terrakion, we have to refresh it. Terrakion is like rank number 9 right now. So it's even below Shadow Tyranitar, below Rhyperior, below Rampardos. So it's technically number 4 in terms of DPS if you look from the rock typing side. But if we were to look at it from the fighting side, okay, we're gonna have to type fighting. Not fight only, but star fighting. I'm sorry, I'm doing everything like manually to show you guys everything, alright? Okay, so we're gonna select the best and we're gonna refresh. Obviously, Terrakion doesn't even appear because Terrakion doesn't even have a fighting type fast move at all. So hypothetically, let's give Terrakion a fast move counter, alright, the best fighting type fast move, and save it. Alright, you guys can actually do this on Game Press also, and then we will refresh. Alright, let's see where does Terrakion sit right now. Wow! It is very, very high. It is below Mega Lucario, below Mega Heracross, and below Blaziken. In fact, higher than Shadow Machamp in terms of DPS times TDO. But it doesn't have counter, so hence this scenario would not happen at all until it gets counter. But if we look at DPS wise, Shadow Machamp is actually above Terrakion. So I know some people are saying like, why do we look at only DPS, or should we look at DPS times TDO? Well, the answer really depends on the bulk of the Pokemon also, which I'll explain to you guys in a bit also, and also the typing of the Pokemon. So let's go ahead and check out the typing wise. For the typing, we will use this chart from Pokémon Go fandom, which technically is a Pokémon Go wiki or Wikipedia. And we can see from this typing chart though, that if we look at the fighting typing moves, it does super effective to 5 typings. Normal, Ice, Rock, Dark, and Steel. Good. So that's what your Shadow Machamp or your Machamps or your Conqueror or your Lucario can do super effective damage to. So example like a Snorlax or a Darkrai, etc., it will do super effective to it completely with both the fast and charge move. However, if we look at the rock typing move, it does super effective to fire, ice, flying, and bug. What does this mean? It means that if you were to use a Terrakion against a normal typing Pokemon, or a rock typing Pokemon, or a dark typing Pokemon, or a steel typing Pokemon, which is going to be worse, it will resist the rock. The Terrakion should be worse, right? Yes, unless you fight something that both does super effective to it, like ice. So there are not many ice typing legendary Pokemon out there. There are actually a total of 3 right now that has been released into Pokemon Go. Articuno, Regice, and also Kyurem. Kyurem is a dragon and ice typing Pokemon. Those are the only 3. Whereas for the Megas, I think there's only 1, which is Mega Abomasnow. But you definitely want to use fire against it because it's double weak to fire. So the next pure ice Mega Pokemon will be Mega Gaily, which isn't out yet. So other than that though, we're also going to check out Poke Battler. This is the website I always use to check out the simulations against certain raid bosses. Alright, so we're going to go into raids and let's go ahead to search for, you know, a Pokemon that is a pure ice Pokemon. Alright, let's search for Mega Glalie since it will be coming out in the future. Okay, so over here, Mega Glalie doesn't look like this, obviously. The sprite isn't out yet, but it's a pure ice Pokemon. I'm just showing you guys over here, Mega Glalie, and we're going to take a look at it. So it's weak to fighting, rock, steel, and fire, right? So means Terrakion and also Machamp, Shadow Machamp also will do super effective to it, or in fact a Shadow Metagross or even Shadow Moltres, etc. But let's go ahead to see what we have to use, man. Sorry, wait, this is my Pokebox. Let's go ahead to check out what we have in general. Alright, so we're going to sort by time to win, the fastest time to take down the raid boss, and your number 1 attacker is Mega Charizard Y, alright? And then followed up by Shadow Metagross, followed up by Shadow Machamp, followed up by Shadow Moltres, followed up by Mega Charizard X, Shadow Entei, and then Terrakion. Finally with Smackdown and Sacred Sword. Alright, so it basically loses to a Shadow Machamp. I would say that to invest into Shadow Machamp, it's much easier because you don't have to raid for it. You can actually catch Machamps or Machops, sorry, in the wild, or in fact do Team Rocket battles to actually get the candies or Candy XL for it. Whereas for Terrakion, you will have to raid, you have to spend money for it, and it's only limited during this period. Hence, I don't feel it is a good option. So, other than that though, we can look at the other ice typing Pokemon also. Like I said, you know, if you were to use against an ice typing Pokemon or a flying and ice typing Pokemon and you want to use it as a rock typing attacker, Terrakion isn't that useful because there are so many better ones. Like say Articuno, it is flying and ice, double weak to ice, right? Double weak to ice, double weak to rock, right? Double weak to ice. Yeah, my brain is full of ice really. Sorry guys. Yeah, I got no ice really. Alright, so let's go ahead to see this though. And we can see that Rampardos is number 1. Second is Shadow Tyranitar. Third is Rhyperior. Fourth is Terrakion. Alright, so Terrakion, with Smackdown and Rock Slide though, it has to use that and not use a Sacred Sword, because with Sacred Sword it will do neutral damage to it, hence why it's not that useful against Articuno. So Terrakion not really that good in this situation. Let's go ahead to check out another situation by scrolling all the way down. And let's say we fight against Kyurem. Alright, later we will check out Black Kyurem though. I'm not going to show you guys Reggie Ice or Reggie whatever. Alright, so Kyurem, Dragon and Ice. Your number 1 attacker is Shadow Metagross because of the resistance that it has. Alright, however, in this situation, it's actually quite interesting. Just to let you guys know, all the Pokemon you guys are seeing over here under the simulation, under the default simulation, they are all level 40 Pokemon. You guys can see the Machamp is actually 3056 CP, whereas the Hundo level 50 Machamp will be at 3455 if I remember correctly. So it's not a level 50, but I'll show you guys level 50 versus level 40 later on also. So if we were to choose Draco Meteor though, we can see that Terrakion actually beats the Shadow Machamp. Why? Is because Shadow Machamp actually gets one shot by Draco Meteor. That's not a good thing, right? And if we were to check out even the other moves, yeah, Terrakion is up there, man. It's not going to beat Shadow Metagross no matter what. But Blizzard, you know, Shadow Machamp can survive the Blizzard at least to actually fire off another Dynamic Punch. Hence why it's ranked higher than Terrakion. So it's really charge move dependent, and in fact the fast move, it depends a little bit also. So we can see that out of the 6 possible scenarios for the moves for Kyurem, Shadow Machamp comes out as on top of Terrakion for 4 out of the 6. Hence why it is better in this situation. However, you know, if we were to take a look at something like this right now, I'm going to switch to my Pokebox, which I have labeled a few of the Pokemon. So the first Machamp that you guys see, right, number 1, is actually a level 50, 13 IV Shadow Machamp. The second is a 10 if I remember correctly. Yeah, and the last one is a level 40 10 IV Shadow Machamp. So the only one that loses to Terrakion is actually the one with that's level 40, and the Terrakion is level 50. 15, yeah, you can see the CP over there, 4181. I'm not going to show you guys everything in the details because it would be a very long video if I show you guys every single process. Alright, but if we look at Draco Meteor though, alright, you guys can see the number of deaths for the Shadow Machamp level 40 and level 50. The number of deaths for the Shadow Machamp level 50 is at 25. Because it can survive the Draco Meteor and fire off another Dynamic Punch. Likewise for the other one that is with lower IV, whereas the level 40 gets one shot by the Draco Meteor, hence why the death is so high and it can't dish out as much damage as the other two. You guys can see the time is like a difference of more than 160 seconds, which kind of sucks. But if you look at Blizzard also, it's relatively the same. And look at the other Blizzard, also relatively the same. Look at Dragon Claw, though, also relatively the same. So, okay, let's go ahead and check out another Pokemon. How about that? Let's go ahead and check out Black Kyurem instead. So, we're going to check out Black Kyurem, the Dragon and Ice Pokemon. Alright, that will come in the future. So, time to win. Your number 1 attacker is Shadow Metagross, followed up by Black Kyurem itself with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Because of the resistance it gets, it's going to suffer neutral damage from most of the moves. Other than from Dragon typing, because it will suffer super effective. But Terrakion is actually ahead as compared to Shadow Machamp. This is looking at level 40 Terrakion and level 40 Shadow Machamp. Why? Is because it actually gets taken out by the Blizzard, so much so that it's ranked really, really low. Because Black Kyurem is stronger, right? So you one shot with the Blizzard, so you guys don't see like the Machamp being that high. As for Outrage also, I mean, it can survive Outrage better, but if we were to take a look at something like Stone Edge, we will not look at Iron Head because it's not fair for the Terrakion, because it will suffer super effective from the Iron Head, still does super effective to Rock, whereas Machamp does not suffer super effective, it's going to suffer neutral damage. Alright, so technically speaking, this is how it's like for Shadow Machamp. But if we will take a look at my Pokebox, which like I said, we will take a look at level 50 Shadow Machamps instead. Switch to my Pokebox. Alright, here, switched over to that. Shadow Machamp being at level 50 actually beats the Terrakion being at level 50. And this is not a Hundo level 50 Shadow Machamp. It is a 13 IV Shadow Machamp. I have better IV Shadow Machamp, and hence why I think it will be better. But if we take a look at Blizzard, like I said, it still gets one shot by it. So it's really situational and dependent. But think about all this ice typing Pokemon that I've shown you guys so far. It's to the extent that Terrakion does super effective with both its Smackdown and Sacred Sword. What are the chances of that? Well, that's going to be quite low because most of the time you'll be fighting other Pokemon like Steel, Rock, Dark typing Pokemon like Darkrai, etc. So if we just take a look at one particular, let's say Darkrai, since it just recently went away, right? So Shadow Machamp is number 1, followed by Shadow Hariyama, Lucario, Mega Beedrill. I'm still looking for the Terrakion though. Where's the Terrakion? Terrakion is ranked 13, despite having Sacred Sword, because the Smackdown doesn't do super effective to Dark typing Pokemon, whereas the Machamp will do super effective to both, using both the fast and charge move to it. So another thing to take note though, if you guys want me to show you guys greater details on it, let's check out the raid attackers in terms of the ratings against the whole entire raid system, I suppose so. So if you will check it out, number 1 is Shadow Mewtwo, followed up by Shadow Mewtwo with Psycho Cut and Side Strike. Hence why I normally use Shadow Mewtwo with Confusion and Side Strike, because it's actually better. Followed up by Mega Charizard. Why? But if you want to check out the ones that, okay, let's make it slightly fair, I suppose. Let's not even use Mega, let's not even use Shadow. Let's just take a look at the ones that are non-Shadow at all. Alright, so your number 1 fighting type attacker is Conkeldurr, followed up by Lucario. And then your psychic type attacker will be Mewtwo, and then your Rampardos as the rock type attacker is number 1. Where is Terrakion? Terrakion is number 11 with Sacred Sword and Smackdown, which isn't ideal if you ask me, because having 2 moves that are different typings, you only use it in one situation against ice typing Pokemon, like I said. So even if we take a look at number 7, that is Machamp. Machamp with Counter and Dynamic Punch already beats a Terrakion. This is non-Shadow, non-Shadow Machamp, and non-Shadow Lucario, non-Shadow Conkeldurr, non-Shadow Rampardos beats Terrakion in their designated category for typing. So hence why I feel Terrakion isn't exactly a good Pokemon to go after. Really, the only time that you will use Terrakion, if you were to power it up to level 40 or level 50, is against a pure ice typing Pokemon. If the ice typing Pokemon is a ice and let's say flying, you will use Rampardos because it's double weak to rock. Rampardos is stronger than the Terrakion. And in the future, when Rhyperior, which is rank 12, actually gets its Shadow, it will beat Terrakion. And Terrakion, to get a Shadow Terrakion, you're gonna get it one, and then you're gonna wait for a few months later to get. Whereas the Shadow Rhyhorn, once it's released into the game, you can basically fight it from the grunts and obtain it from the grunts. So hence why I wouldn't recommend powering up Terrakion, Cobalion, and also Virizion. But let's look at it from the PvP side. So let's go ahead and check out Terrakion again under GamePress.gg. So on paper, it may seem that Terrakion is quite good in Go Battle in the Ultra League and Master League, but we'll get to that later. So let's go ahead and check out the typing, the resistance and the vulnerability that Terrakion has. So if we check out the resistance first, because of its rock and fighting typing, it resists bug, dark, fire, normal, poison, rock. So let's look at the Master League meta. Not many people use bug. There are a handful of people who use dark, but not many, unless you face up against a Zarude or a Darkrai, which not many people use. Fire also not really. Normal also, I guess, you don't really need any resistance to that because it doesn't do super effective to you. But yeah, Body Slam from Snorlax, I don't know, man. Poison wise, not many people use that in the Master League also. And as for rock typing, not many people use rock also, so hence the resistance that Terrakion has doesn't offer it too much resistance for coverage in the Master League. Take note though, that Terrakion is a legendary Pokemon. You cannot use it in the Premier Cup, and hence you can only use it either in the Master League Classic or Master League. So you're going to be faced up against legendary Pokemon like, Dialga, Giratina, Melmetal, and Groudon, Kyogre, etc. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and check out the vulnerability. It is weak to Fairy, Fighting, Grass, Ground, Psychic, Steel, Water. Looking at the vulnerability, oh yeah, for those of you who didn't know, when the Pokemon is vulnerable, even when you do super effective damage to your opponent, it deals 1.6 times damage, whereas if it's double damage, basically say a Swampert being double weak to grass, it's actually 2.56. 1.6 times 1.6 gives you the answer of 2.56. Yeah. So anyway, the vulnerability, it's weak to all this. So we will see Togekiss, you know, in the meta for Master League, so you don't want to use it. Fighting, sometimes you will see people use Conkeldurr, but pretty rare. Grass, not really. Ground, yes, you see a lot of ground. People using Excadrill, people using Groudon, people using Landorus, because Steel is still the meta. S-T-E-E-L, S-T-I-L-L is the meta. Okay, so hence, it is very, very good. Ground typing Pokemon, ground typing moves. Psychic wise, well, there's Mewtwo. So you do not want to face up against Mewtwo when you're using a Terrakion. As for Steel, well, there's Dialga, there's Melmetal, but Melmetal doesn't use any Steel type moves, so it's totally fine. But you have Metagross also. As for Water, like I said, you have Kyogre, which kind of sucks, and also Palkia, which does super effective to it using Aqua Tail. So hence, with this coverage and also vulnerability with the moves that it has, it's not really useful for PvP. So if we were to go into pvpoke.com, thank you very much, pvpoke.com, thank you very much, pokebattler.com, and all the websites I'm showing you guys. All these websites I'm showing you guys, they're giving really, really awesome, proper information. Hence why I always recommend to use them and look at them. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out Master League though. Let's go ahead and type in Terrakion. It's rank 55. Very high, but like I said, it's not that useful. The reason why Terrakion is ranked so high is because the stats is relatively good, I must say. But the typing that it offers is not really that good. With Sacred Sword, yeah, it's not too bad, rank 55. But when you look at the other like stronger Pokemon like Melmetal and Dialga and all those that basically kind of does super effective damage to it, it kind of sucks. The only thing that it will fare well against is probably like Ho-Oh or Lugia, because Smackdown will do super effective to those two. Even against Mamoswine, right? You will do neutral damage to it, and if you do not have shields, the Mamoswine might even take you out with a Bulldoze because it's weak to ground. So even for Landorus, you're going to do neutral damage to it, so that kind of sucks. Whereas if with Sacred Sword, you will do super effective to Dialga and Melmetal, but with the Iron Head coming in, you need a shield, otherwise you're going to faint also. As for the Melmetal with Superpower, well, you're not going to survive at least, I think, 3 superpowers. Alright. So even for Excadrill, etc., I mean, you have Sacred Sword against Excadrill, but Excadrill charges up energy so quickly that with your Smackdown doing triple resisted damage to Excadrill, you are not going to do anything to it as long as the Excadrill has shield on. So even for Metagross also, you're going to do neutral damage with your Sacred Sword. Your Rock Slide is going to do resisted damage to it, so that's going to suck. So Dragonite also, you're going to do well against it. Zapdos, which kind of not a lot of people are using, but yeah, if you ask me really, Terrakion, is it a good Pokemon to use? Not really. As for Ultra League wise though, let's go ahead and check out Ultra League. Let's go ahead and type Terrakion. And it's ranked 329. That speaks for itself. I do not need to explain anything already. Yeah, as for Master League Classic though, just level 40 Pokemon, it's still ranked relatively low at a 58 also, so I really wouldn't recommend using Terrakion or powering up Terrakion for whatever purpose. I've explained it in the raids portion and also in the PvP portion, so hopefully you guys have gotten a better understanding as to why I recommend not to power up and waste your resources, your Stardust, on Terrakion at all, because it may look good on paper. Numbers wise, DPS very high, DPS times TDO very high, but when you look at the typing and you dig deep into it, whether is it useful for the meta against certain raid bosses or not, no, it is not as useful as something like a pure fighting type attacker like a Machamp, Conkeldurr or Lucario, and it's not as useful as a pure rock type attacker like a Rampardos, Rhyperior, or even Tyranitar. That's all I will say. Alright, so hopefully you guys have found this video helpful, insightful, and prevent you guys from spending the unnecessary Stardust or resources that you guys intend to, because trust me, I'm not even going to power up more than one Terrakion to level 50. unless I need to make a video for content on. But if it's not because of YouTube, trust me, I wouldn't even power it up on video to show you guys at all. More than one. I will still do one for collection because that's my goal. I will get one of each legendary to level 50, but that's all. As for the important ones that I will want to power up more in the future, I'll power up 6 at least, like Rayquaza, Mewtwo, etc. I still need to work on Mewtwo though. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like on the video, be much appreciated. Thank you very much. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, man. Are you guys like rethinking your choice on whether you guys are going to invest your resources on Terrakion at all? I hope I saved some of you guys your Stardust and also your resources, and not to go out there and go ham on Terrakion, because seriously, it is not that good once I have gone into all these details with you guys, right? Alright, so with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode in the next video. Alright, it's time to say goodbye. Terrakion is going to transfer all of you. Well, I'm still on this page. Yeah. So, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye!